Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel once again. I know I haven't posted a video in a while, but here we are back with hopefully our daily updates. If not, maybe every other day or something. I want to start really diving into this. But again, we're going to be going over the latest poll for each swing state, and we're going to be breaking it down where each candidates at the moment, Trump and Harris, who is on track to win the current election at the moment. So as we always do it, we're going to break it down. We're going to go over the swing states, and we're going to start with Kamala Harris's and Trump's safe states. For Harris, she is going to win the state of Hawaii. I don't see the state going anywhere. You can see the state is kind of trending to the right ever since Obama. You know, Obama won it by 45 points, and then he won it again by 42. But Hillary only won it by 32, and Joe only won it by 29. So it is going down very slowly, but it will still be a safe state. And we all know California will be a safe state as well. And Washington, with the current polling coming out of there, suggests that that will be a safe state for Kamala. New York could get a little interesting. Right now, Kamala is up as a safe state, but we'll have to keep an eye on it because I do think the state will be a little closer. But every Democrat has currently won New York for the last, couple past elections or a very long time. You can see Biden won it by 23. Clinton won it by 22, and Obama won it by 28 in his second term. So again, I think New York will be safe, as along with Vermont, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, DC, Maryland, and we'll go ahead and add New Jersey and Delaware. I did in my previous video have New Jersey as a lightly shaded, but at this point, there hasn't been any new polling, and there's nothing really to suggest that New Jersey might be closer this year. In 2016, Donald Trump did bring it down all the way for Clinton to win it by 14 points. But again, that's only 1 point away from being safe. So as you can see, we're just going to mark New Jersey as a safe state for now. Now, Donald Trump has a lot more safe states. I am going to go ahead and give Harris, though, Maine's 1st district. I don't see Donald Trump coming any close to winning that. Now, with Donald Trump's safe states, he's going to win the state of Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, and Utah, along with Alaska. We'll shade it in a little bit just because in the previous elections, Alaska went 14 points to Romney against Obama, and then he went 14 points against Trump, and then he went to 10 points against Trump. So Trump will win it probably more than 10 points. I mean, we honestly could just shade it in as safe just because it will be above 10 points. But again, we'll have to keep a close eye on Alaska and see where it's go. North and South Dakota will go to Donald Trump. Nebraska at large with the 1st and 3rd district will go. Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas will also. Kansas is interesting because in 2020, it barely went under the safe margin for Trump, but I still think it will be completely safe this year, along with South Carolina, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and along with Maine's 2nd district. I do think with the 2nd district, it could get a little close. Trump won it by 7 points in 2020, and in 2016, he won it by 10 points. So if we are going by, based off those, because there's no really clear polling, we'll just fill it in. It's not safe, but likely for Donald Trump to win that. Now we're going to be going over every single state. These aren't the swing states, but these are the states that aren't going to go safe this year that I think are going to be a little bit closer. So we're going to be breaking them down and going over each single one. We're going to be filling in Harris's likely states. That is going to be the state of Oregon. It's not going to go safe, but it will go likely just because it is going to be coming down a little bit. I think Donald Trump is going to be doing some work in that state. You can see with the current polling, Biden was up by 9, and I did see a poll where Harris was only up by 5. So I don't think this state will be completely safe for Kamala, but it will be likely. Another state that will be likely is Colorado and Illinois. These are just because these states really aren't completely safe. You can see Illinois was safe in 2016, but in 2020 it also was 17 points again. But I think Donald Trump will improve in some of the more rural areas this year just because of his growing support, and I think that will bring down the state, not a safe margin for Harris, but a likely state for Harris, just because I think Donald Trump is also going to grow in the Chicago area. And as you can see with Colorado, Biden only won it by 2020 by 13 points, and Hillary barely won it by less than 5 points in 2016. So I don't think it's going to go completely safe this year for Harris, but it will be a likely state as well. So these are going to be the states that I think are going to be likely to Kamala Harris this year. Starting out with Donald Trump's safe states, I am going to go ahead and fill Iowa and Ohio in as safe. I think they're going to be borderline safe states this year. You can see in 2020, Trump went to or Ohio went to Trump by 8 points, and same with Iowa. And in 2016, Iowa went by 9 points, and Trump only won Ohio by 8 points. But again, this year I've seen a lot of polling where Iowa was up by 15 and Ohio was up by almost 12. I think these states are growing tremendously to more to the right, and I think they will go safe this year. And as long with Texas and Florida, I'm going to fill those in as likely because I think those states will go anywhere from 7 to 9 points. You can see in 2020, Trump won Texas by almost 6 points, and he won Florida by 3.5. But in 2016, Florida was very, very close. But at this time, it was a swing state still, and he won Texas by 9 points. So both of these states are trending to the right tremendously, and I think Trump will win in these states probably by at least 7 points this year. So here are your swing states this year. All the states that I have filled in white are going to still be your swing states, I personally believe, this year, and we're going to be breaking down each one and seeing where we stand for each candidate. Now, starting off with our districts, I am going to give Kamala both districts of Nebraska and Maine. That is because in 2016, yeah, Trump did win Nebraska second by barely 2 points, but both districts are starting to trend tremendously to the left, especially Nebraska being the most urban area part of Nebraska. You can see Biden won it by 6 points, and he won Maine at large by 9. So I don't think Trump will win these states this year. I think they'll be a little closer than that, but I think they'll go anywhere from 2 to 5 points for both districts. And starting out west, our first state is gonna be Nevada. This state is very interesting. If we click on Nevada, we can see that the RPC average has Trump up by 3 points. You can see, he won one poll by 3. He won one, or Harris won by 2. Insider advantage back in July had Trump winning by 10. So that puts the state at Nevada not, tilt, but in the lean column for Donald Trump. If we come down to the state of Arizona, we can see this state will be a little closer, in my opinion, than Nevada. You can see the RCP average is 1.5 for Donald Trump. There is starting to be a lot of good polling coming out of Arizona for Donald Trump, but Harris is starting to grow closer in this state. So at the moment, I'm going to fill that state in as a tilt for the Republican Party. Now, we're going to come over to New Mexico. I don't really have many polling come out of New Mexico. I did see one where Harris was up by 7. I don't think she will win the state of New Mexico by 7 due to a lot of Hispanics trending a lot to the right, but I think it will be kind of like Colorado. Well, Colorado will be, probably higher than 7. Colorado will probably be like 10 points, honestly. I think New Mexico is probably around maybe a 5, or we'll fill it in as a lean column for Harris, maybe a 4 or 5 point win. And if we come up to other Harris's safe or lean columns, I think Minnesota will be lean, and I think Virginia will also go lean. We'll fill that in. This is due because, even though Donald Trump's support in these states are growing a lot, I think, due to the heavy left trend in these states, you can see in 2020, Minnesota went to Biden by 7, and Virginia went by 10, and in 2016, Clinton barely won, but she also won Virginia by a decent. So this state is trending. Both of these states are trending, a lot more to the left. You can see with New Mexico, Clinton won by 8 and Biden won by 10. So I think these states will be, not safe or likely, but, anywhere from 4 to 6 point wins for Kamala Harris. And as you can see, Kamala has 222 electoral votes, and Donald Trump's still winning with 236. And if we go over to a new polling, we're going to see, let's go to Wisconsin. In Wisconsin, it does have Harris up at the moment. I don't think, my personal opinion, I think Trump's going to win this Wisconsin just because in 2020 when Biden had his big year, he barely picked off Wisconsin by, less than half a point. So, and Donald Trump's been, growing a lot more support this year in 2024. Same with Arizona, same with Georgia. But again, we're just going to be basing off the polling. It does have Harris in the lead at the moment, so we will fill that in as a tilt for the Democrats. If we come over to Michigan, probably the most, I would say, Democratic state out of the Rust Belt. It usually trends to the left a little bit more than Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. But as you can see, Michigan. As you can see in Michigan, see, just like the polling, I said it, has Harris up by 2.5 points. Donald Trump is, and that's due to this kind of biased Bloomberg poll. I don't think there's no way Harris will win it by 11. But, 2.5 seems pretty decent for now, so we'll fill that in as a lean column for the Democrats. And if we come over to Pennsylvania, we can see in Pennsylvania, it does have Trump in the lead, barely at the moment. You can see Harris did come out with a poll where she was up 4, but what do we expect? That is the New York Times, of course. But in these other polls, even the Bloomberg poll that I said was biased earlier has Trump up by 4 points in this state. So that will make the state of Pennsylvania a tilt margin, just like Arizona, to the Republican Party, giving Donald Trump 255 and Kamala 247. Now, if we come down to the rest of the Sun Belts, North Carolina will be interesting to watch. I definitely think Trump's got this state in 2024. You can see in 2020 with Biden's big year, he still won the state by 1.5 points. And in 2016, he won it by almost 4 points. So I think this state will probably go anywhere from 4 to 6 points this year. Honestly, the heck did I do? There we go. But again, if we check out the most recent polling, we can see, just like I said, Trump's currently up at, 3 and almost 3.5 points in this state. I think he's going to win the state probably anywhere from 4 to 6, like I said, but we'll fill in it just like the polling. That still gives Donald Trump a lean column for the Republican parties, and that puts him over 271 to win the election. We're still going to be breaking down Georgia and New Hampshire, but, Donald Trump has a lot more paths, in my opinion, than Kamala Harris to win, if he wins Arizona, Nevada. If he sweeps the whole Sun Belt, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, that puts him at 268. So Harris's really only path is to win Pennsylvania and the whole rest of the Rust Belt, and maybe possibly pick off Georgia instead of like Michigan or something and win. But again, I think her only path is to win the Rust Belt, but Donald Trump has a lot more paths to win. That's why I think he might win this year. But again, we'll have to, keep checking out the polling. But if we go to Georgia, we can see in Georgia was interesting because in 2020, Biden did win barely, but it was the closest state of that election. But again, in 2024, we can see in Georgia, Trump's only leading by, half a point, which is very strange. I would think he would be leading way more than this. You can see Bloomberg had them tied. There was a couple polls that Trump's only winning by 2 or 1 points. But again, that's probably due to Georgia's Atlanta metro area. So again, we'll fill that in as a tilt for the Republicans. And in New Hampshire, I don't really have polling for New Hampshire, but if we base it off the last current elections, you can see this state is trending a lot to the left. You can see in Obama's first term, he won it by 9.5 points. In his second term, he won it a little under than 5.5. You can see Clinton barely won this state. Trump almost picked off this state for the first time in a lot of previous elections. We can see New Hampshire hasn't gone red since Bush, but in 2020, Biden, secured a 7.5 point victory there. So I definitely think this state won't go 7.5, but it will be in the lean column for Kamala Harris. Probably, 3 to 6 point win for the Democrats. As you can see, this is the current map of the 2024 election. We have Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and North Carolina all go in red. Trump sweeps the Sun Belt, and as long with Pennsylvania, Trump will get 287 electoral votes, beating Harris's 251 votes. If y'all like this kind of content, please subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see y'all on the next video. Capiche?